Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Very pleased to have you here.
Thank you.
R3 is kind of a big player in the space, and you have a lot of knowledge. And the keynote, the topic, interoperability of blockchains.
Yeah.
This is what we think we are all heading to. Where are we standing?
Well, you had to come at 4 o'clock to find out. No, but so interoperability is interesting because it's one of kind of the big topics, and I think that where we're heading and where we are today is the technology is very nascent in reality. And what we're doing today is we're building small networks, and those networks, to get those built and stood up, because they have to get cooperating entities to do it. It's not just the technology. The risk is that we build islands, because by its nature, blockchain requires you to have a copy of the ledger, which means that you can't interact with somebody on a different network because you won't have a copy of the ledger, which means you don't have the trust model. So that's where we kind of are today. I think we're very focused on building the small networks. Now, if we look out as to what the vision I think we all have is that transactions can all start tying together, that your insurance can go to a reinsurance network, and that the home that you've insured goes into the insurance network, which goes to the reinsurance network, or the home that you have mortgaged, that mortgage gets tokenized and put into the markets, etc. But these in reality are all very different networks, and we need to worry about getting those connected. And there's a couple different challenges I see. One is, I think, connectivity between different technology platforms. So, and I'll talk a bit about the different processes that most of the platforms are looking at for integrating. And they're fairly standard, but there's trade-offs. And a lot of the trade-off is either introducing a trusted party or using an oracle, which is an external trusted party. So there's ways to do that. They're technically feasible today. But the trade-off is the trust aspect, which is kind of why we went to this technology to begin with. The second area that I'll talk about later is within the same technology, actually. So oddly, I think a lot of the technologies, actually all the blockchain technologies, are challenged even to interoperate of networks of the same technology.
Sure.
And the reason is fundamentally they have different sets of blockchains, so they lose privacy when they combine. That's one of the big challenges. Now we believe Corda has a different approach to that, but if you ignore Corda and me trying to put a plug-in on that, those technologies, even if they're in the same network, you end up with the problem because you have to have the same contracts. So if I have a cash contract and you have a cash contract, well, we can't exchange cash. So we had to agree on which contract to use. So that leads us down standardizations and other paths. And then the third area that I'll talk about is around integrating to the existing networks. So I think the end state is what we think about a lot, and a lot of what we want to aim for. But the reality is we can't start at that end state. We're going to have to work our way towards that. And there's a lot of existing business networks out there today. They're functional. They're what do all of the business today. So we need to start thinking about how do we integrate our use cases to what exists today in the real world. So we had an announcement around our work with Swift, working with their GPI, so we can enable payments to that network, et cetera. And that's kind of what a good example of a step between an existing infrastructure and a blockchain system that we'll take. So those are the three areas that I'll talk about a bit today.
Awesome. A lot of valuable content. Let's jump to the vision level again. Architects in the 50s, Buckminster Fuller, for example, he designed those couples, the decentralized buildings, structures, very solid but flexible and stuff like that. Now we have the technology, and I think the next step is that we build our societies in that way. And we can already see it, like a global interconnected population, not limited by borders, not really by time, not even by space. Will there be a chain of chains in the end of the game?
Even in a simple system today, and I tend to think at a systems level just by my nature in my role, we kind of think of Bitcoin as being kind of the basic one that we all understand, and it's a tree structure, and it all goes back to a single root. It's fairly simple to understand. But when you get into exchanging delivery versus payment in two asset types, well, they have multiple trees, and then those trees start to intertwine with each other. Now, that's within the same technology base. Now you get into a situation where you have multiple networks and multiple chains, and it's going to increase at a dramatic level. So it still has to root itself back to a basic trust model that you can verify on your own. But yes, to your earlier question, I think we're going to end up with a lot of connected scenarios, which means a lot of chains effectively that are all intertwined with each other. So.
Thanks a lot for your insights.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have a good talk later.